This thing can fully charge
this thing in just over 4 hours. Welcome to Scotland. I'm stuck in the mud, and what could be a more perfect opportunity to talk about why powering your camper van with solar panels in winter in this part of the world is a terrible idea, and what a better solution is.
You need this.
But first of all, I'm gonna go and have a shower at the King's House Campers showers because I've got myself completely covered in mud. Recovery's arrived. Here we go. Stephen's big dumb mistake has been rectified. I'm free!
This is gonna cost me nearly as much as the ferry ticket to get here.
Right, that is me, showered, changed, my hair done, regained my composure, and back in the van. And welcome to my adventure van, the Stevan, as I've ended up calling it. And I haven't changed it too much since my last van tour, so if you want to go and watch that, you can. I use a 2000 watt hour power station in my van, and the reason I use a power station is because my van is designed to be modular. I still want to be able to use it as a van, so my bed and everything can be removed in about 10 minutes. A power station, I set it in, I plug things into it, and off I go. So it works perfect for me. And the power station I now have is the Bluity Elite 200, and it is amazing. It runs all my stuff. It's got really high wattage output. It's fast charge enabled. And most importantly, it fit perfectly on my van shelf. Van shelf sounds like some kind of Dutch footballer. And van shelf is coming up the left. Classic van shelf. By the way, thanks to Bluity for sponsoring this video and making this entire trip to Scotland possible in the first place, and I'll link some of the other videos from this trip. When it comes to my personal power usage, I use up to 1000 watt hours a day, and yes, that is a lot. I'd say most people would probably need about half that, but this is my adventure filmmaking van, so I've got a lot of equipment to plug in and charge, so that all adds up to about 1000 watt hours. And plugging into mains isn't an option for me a lot of the time because I'm traveling around a lot, often in remote locations, and in winter many campsites are closed and accommodation is never quite where you want it to be. The obvious solution, solar, right? Well, what's wrong with solar? Okay, so the biggest reasonable panel I could probably put on this van would be about 400 watts. Let's just start by pretending in the summer every day is cloudless, bright and sunny. And in those totally perfect conditions, a 400 watt panel will generate that 1000 watt hours of power in 2.5 hours. So 2.5 hours of sun will give me all the electricity I need for an entire day. That's pretty good if you get a perfect clear day. We'll just set that aside and go to winter. In winter here, a lot of the time it is cloudy and it is overcast, and it's like that for days and days at a time. And in cloudy, overcast, winter, low winter sun conditions, the efficiency of solar panels can drop to as low as 10%. That's about 10 to 20, but we need to go by that 10%. Because this is something I have to rely on. This is for work, which means that 400 watt panel could be now operating at 40 watts, which means it would take 1000 divided by 40 equals 25 hours to generate 1000 watt hours of power. Problem with that, Stephen, there aren't 25 hours in the day, never mind 25 hours of daylight. We have nearly 5 months of the year with less than 12 hours of daylight, and about 2.5 months in the year that have got less than 9 hours of daylight. So for me, that means that solar just isn't a reliable option. Now, there is another obvious issue with it, which I'll talk about at the end, but firstly, I'm going to show you what I think is the perfect solution to my power needs and possibly yours as well, and I'll look at a couple of other van upgrades I've made this winter. As I've already said, this is the Bluity Elite 200 version 2. It's a 2000 watt hour power station that uses new LFP batteries with a lifespan of 17 years, which is crazy. For its capacity, it actually has a really nice compact size and shape. It fits perfectly onto the shelf that I built 3 years ago for a much lower capacity power station. But what's impressed me nearly more than the power station is this.
This is the Bluity Charger 1, and this thing draws excess power from your vehicle's alternator, can output 560 watts, which means that when I left home, that huge power station down there had 25% charge. I switched this on when I got to Scotland, and by the time I got to Glencoe, my battery was at 100%. It can charge that battery from zero in just over 4 hours, which is 6 times faster than using a standard car charger. And it's clever too. It detects the voltage of your starter battery, and if that voltage drops, this will stop drawing power. So it protects your van's battery and it's not going to run it flat. It even has a built-in circuit breaker. As this is the UK version, it has only 2 AC outlets. So what I've done is I've plugged this extension cable, run it around the back, along here, down there, and then I've got another 4 sockets here, and this is actually a lot more useful for me because what I'll do is when I'm parked up, I'll throw that in the front, and then I can plug things in down there. This combination has been the perfect setup for me. This power station fully charged will last me about 2 to 3 days on a trip. And then if I'm on a longer multi-day trip, well, I'm going to be driving around maybe 1 or 2 hours a day, which will keep this topped up. And worst case scenario, if I really had to, I could just switch on the engine while parked, let it run for an hour or two, and basically use the vehicle's engine like a generator to top this up. But mostly I like the idea of charging it while I'm driving, because that way it's using electric that would be going to waste otherwise. You can install it yourself, and that's what I did. I connected up to the battery, which in my van is under the driver's seat, and then I ran the cable from the front to the back here, and it comes down here. And then if I want to charge the power station, I just plug it in and switch on the van engine. It's been brilliant. Absolutely what I've been looking for to do that. This next upgrade has been one of the cheapest for the biggest benefit, and that has been to install an electric blanket in my bed, which I can just plug in over there into my power station and switch on for a toasty, warm night's sleep. And the amazing thing about this is that it only draws a maximum of 40 watts. At the lowest heating setting, this battery will power that electric blanket for about 100 hours, and at 40 watts, it'll power it for 28 hours. I don't know why more people don't use electric blankets in vans. If you're concerned about the environment, this is probably the cheapest way to heat you at night, because with a diesel heater, well, 1, you have to burn diesel, and 2, you then have to power the electronics that run it. So, and I think the electronics that run a diesel heater pull more than 40 watts anyway, plus a diesel heater makes a noise, whereas an electric blanket is the way to have the warmest, coziest and quietest night in the van. And I just store the plug and everything underneath the mattress, so it's out of the way. Now, it does help, I did combine it with the thickest quilt that I could find as well. Oh, and finally, what was that other issue with solar? Well, for me, it's simply that it takes up a lot of space on the roof. What I'd really like to do at some point is cut a hole and put in a roof light. I used my walls in here for storage, so I don't get a lot of natural light in here, and a roof light, like a roof window, would make such a big difference. Plus, if I get one that opens, I can stick my head out like a periscope and see what's going on. So yeah, that's why I want to keep stuff off the roof, so I can do that. And if I put solar panels up there, I just wouldn't be able to do it. So those are my winter van upgrades. I'd like to know what you thought of them, if you think you've got any better ideas, or if you think you're going to copy some of them. The only one I'm least sure about is the diesel heater. It is a slightly clunky solution. It does have potential safety issues, so I'm going to see how it works over the next few months, but it might be something that I change my mind about at some point, but for now, I'm happy enough with it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.